right, so today we are going to talk about 5 decluttering tips that I follow as a minimalist mom, minimalist family. And these 5 tips are all things that I think are extremely helpful to use in your home, in your life on a daily basis in order to declutter to the point where you feel like you're living in a home that you have peace and calm and serenity in. So let's go over one of my favorites. So number 1 is the rule of sevens. And I actually only recently learned this rule, though the philosophy stands. This is a rule that says that if it's just a 7 or below, that's not good enough in order to keep. So why is this so important? So when I'm thinking about when I was a classroom teacher, and I'm going to qualify a 7 in terms of percentages, which is like a 70%. A 70 is the lowest C, a C negative, the lowest C you can get in our county. And so really when you're thinking about, is this item a 7, think about it in terms like that. Am I really going to settle for something that is, if not average, below average? And I'm going to keep that in my house. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to store it and I'm going to wear it. Is this something that's just a 7? And to me, it's helped me with so many things recently to get rid of some of that excess around my house that I have been hanging on to for a long time just because eventually I might use it, or it was a shirt that I didn't hate, so I must love it. But no, it was a 7. It was something that was at the very bottom of the barrel and I didn't really love it. It was just hanging around because there was nothing actually wrong with it. So think about that. If you're having a hard time decluttering in your house, is this a 7 or below? Is this really just a C minus that I'm keeping in my house? And if it is, then it's not worth your time or your space. All right, so now let's look at rule number 2, which is if you're just starting out, the most important rule, and that is to just start. There is so many times in my life that when I was first starting this minimalist journey and thinking about decluttering, getting rid of things, that I would minimize my wardrobe. I would go through and declutter my wardrobe, but I was terrified of decluttering my home. And where do I start? How do I even begin? And I felt so paralyzed. And so I spent hours and hours watching other people's YouTube videos, which, keep doing that. But it took me so long to just start because I was scared of doing it the wrong way or getting rid of something that I might end up needing. That paralyzed feeling that you're feeling if you're just starting out and you don't know where to start is really just to start wherever. There is no wrong answer when it comes to decluttering. There are lots of tips and tricks that you can learn, but if you're not going to actually start using them, there is no point in continuing to watch these kind of videos. And I know that sounds harsh, but the most important thing that you can do is just start somewhere. Whether it is a tiny drawer in your house, whether it is just getting rid of the trash around your house and starting there, anything that you are getting rid of and out of your house is going to help you to start feeling that domino effect of, wow, this felt really good. Wow, my house does feel easier to take care of. And so you've got to just start that domino effect of decluttering, and eventually it will become second nature, but it does take some time. All right, number 3 is another one of my favorites. But before I tell you if you're enjoying learning about minimalism and decluttering, then remember to subscribe because there are 3 videos coming out every week with lots of tips and tricks and lots of things to help you declutter your home. Number 3 is to do a one touch of items. Pull out a category of things. Say, let's do books or your clothes. And while you are touching that thing, I want you to make a decision before you put it back down. Now, this does seem really hard, but when you have a huge amount of things, one, it's going to take you just too much time and too much overwhelm to sit and think and process every pro and con of keeping this one item. But if you say, I'm going to do the one touch rule, I'm going to decide, and I'm going to give myself between 10 and 30 seconds to make that decision, then you're telling your brain and you're telling yourself that I have confidence in myself to make the right choice, and I'm going to make it right here and now and start trusting myself. I think that's the biggest thing holding a lot of us back from decluttering and living a minimalist life, having peace in your home, is that we don't trust our gut because we're worried that in the future I might need this. What if I make the wrong choice? I'm telling you right now that you know what's best for you. Now living in the house that I do, where my inventory is a lot less, my stress is a lot less, I can do things that I never thought I possibly could, and I can save money along the way. I'm telling you that the one touch rule will really help get rid of all of that excess without having to stress your brain out by making these really difficult decisions Just trust yourself. All right, so number 4 is another favorite, and it's probably one that you've heard before, but it's the 2020 rule. So, what this means, it's actually from The Minimalist. If you haven't seen any of their stuff, they're amazing. They're what got me started on my journey, like many of us, but they made up this 2020 rule. So, if an item that you are hemming and hawing, whether you should get rid of it or not, if it is $20 or less and you can find it and get it within 20 minutes or less, then they say get rid of it. If you are stuck and you're just not sure, then really, besides just trusting your gut, I want you to make that decision that this item, one, was not very expensive. And I want you to decide, I can replace this. I will say this rule helped me the most probably in my bathroom. And that is because in our bathroom, we have so many tiny things that make up that space: hair stuff, makeup, nail polish, towels, rags, all of the in between, and the medicine. And all of those things, one, are usually $20 or less unless you have really expensive makeup. And it can also be bought pretty easily, whether it's just a quick click online or you can run up to the store. And so when you are decluttering things like makeup, I want you to really make that quick decision that this is something that, one, is not super expensive and it's easy for me to get again. If I am dying for it next week and I can't believe I got rid of it, then one, you're learning from your experiences, which I think is something that is extremely valuable and something we need to do. We have to stretch ourselves when we are minimalists. If you are really trying to get your house down to a lot less inventory, you will make mistakes along the way. And you will say, man, I made this mistake and I'm going to fix it. And it's not going to be that expensive and it's going to be pretty easy for me to get. But I guarantee you, Scout's honor, that you might make a few mistakes like I did. But overall, the amount that I've probably spent in rebuying things is extremely minimal. The benefit of decluttering it far, far, far outweighs anything that I've ever had to rebuy. And in my brain, there are only maybe one or two things I can ever even think about that I have rebought before. Trusting your gut and believing that you can make some really good decisions for yourself and that this is a process of learning, giving yourself grace is going to help you along the way. But that 2020 rule, I feel like, was very helpful for me and gave me a lot of reassurance when I was really getting into the nitty gritty of the little things and getting rid of them along the way. So if you are decluttering with us and you are living a minimalist or simple life, or you're on your way to one, then remember to throw a heart emoji down below. It tells this whole community that we are working on this together. We are learning together. So let's head on to number 5. All right, so number 5 is actually something that I find really fun and I've tried in several different places around my house, and that's called a packing party. So if you are stuck or you really just want to get things moving more quickly around your house, without having to make every single little tiny decision along the way, then I totally suggest trying a packing party. So I will link the one that I did below. When I filmed it, it was in my bedroom, but I've done packing parties all around my house. I've done them in my bathroom, my kitchen. I've done them in my room. I've done them downstairs in the laundry room. And this is why doing a packing party is so helpful. One, there are no hard and fast rules. You can use trash bags, boxes, bags you just happen to have for packing around your house, like if you travel, anything will work. Then you can just pick a category or a bedroom or anything that you want, that you don't want to have to make every nitty gritty decision about every little thing to declutter. And also, a packing party really opens your eyes about the things that you use and need and want on a daily basis, and just those things that your eyes are just used to seeing all the time, but really your brain has just become so accustomed to seeing them every day that you don't realize that you could even live without. Packing parties can really help you if you are feeling that fatigue of having to touch every item, or you feel like there's just too much. Where am I going to start? I feel overwhelmed. Then just pack it all up. Pick a category, pick a bedroom, pack it all up into trash bags or boxes or whatever you happen to have around your house, and get it out of sight, out of mind. When you need something, you're going to go back and you're going to find it, but give yourself a certain amount of time. So usually I would give myself between a month or two, no more than that, because I really don't want to waste too much of my life having to look at those boxes. But if you have a good place to store them out of sight, out of mind, then go through and over those given amount of times, take out the things that you need. And then at the end of that given amount of time, you know that everything else you didn't need, you didn't want, you didn't look for, and you can feel free to either sell it, or what I like to do is just get rid of it and get it out of my house before I can second guess myself and take anything back out of those boxes. So I hope those 5 tips were helpful. There are some of my favorite and things that I still use all of the time to help me when I want to push myself to declutter a little bit more. And remember to hit that subscribe button so you can join this little community on this minimalist channel and be a part of this beautiful journey. All right, I'll see you guys soon.